Hello, I'm Scott Alsop, and in this video we're going to look at how to approach the all-important source interpretation question in an examination. Now this is usually the last question to appear on the exam and invariably carries the most marks. Therefore, you need to plan your time carefully to ensure that you leave a good chunk at the end in order to answer this question in sufficient detail. Interpretations questions will ask you to explain, or often to make a judgment about how far you agree with a certain view of the past. You need to draw on the sources provided in the paper and often also your own knowledge in order to do this. Now imagine that your source topic is Britain in the First World War. A typical question might say something like, study all the sources. Men volunteered for the army in 1914 because they thought it would be an adventure. How far do the sources agree? Use the sources and your own knowledge to explain your answer. As with all the other types of questions that you'll have responded to in the exam up to this point, you've got to make sure that you again create a structured and well-balanced response to this question. Since it's worth more marks than any of the other questions of the paper, you've also got to ensure that you plan your answer really well. You could once again do this in the form of a comparative table that quickly helps you to sort the sources into those that agree with the statement and those that disagree. Now, in terms of writing your answer, you should probably begin with a brief opening paragraph which directly addresses the question and presents your opinion. The main body of your answer would then contain a number of paragraphs that draw on the sources you've sorted, grouping together those that support the question statement and then also, of course, those that oppose it. At the end, you'd write a concluding paragraph that again directly addresses the question and gives your overall opinion. In terms of the example question that I suggested a couple of minutes ago, you'd need to present a paragraph that looks at the sources that support the view that people thought joining the army would be an adventure. Then you'd need to go on to write a paragraph focusing on the sources that go against this view, that men volunteered simply because they thought it was going to be an adventure. Your conclusion would then reach an overall judgment on these two sides and present your view on how far you think the sources in the paper show that that interpretation can be justified. Now, to score the very highest marks on these questions, you also need to demonstrate some level of source evaluation in your answer. This means that as well as saying whether a source supports or opposes a particular view, you also consider why a source does this. This, of course, involves considering the provenance of the source and using your own knowledge to explain why it says what it does. Overall, though, the main thing to demonstrate in your answer to this question is balance, meaning that you need to present evidence on both sides of the argument. To do this well, you must plan both your answer and your time carefully. Now, to see advice on those other source questions, check out the links over here.